When people imagine soldiers charging into battle, the image is almost always the same. Rifles in hand, bayonets gleaming, grenades at the ready. Yet one man challenged this expectation so completely that his story has become one of the most remarkable in modern military history. His name was Desmond Doss, and he stepped onto the battlefield armed with nothing but his faith, courage, and an unwavering belief in the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." What makes his tale extraordinary is not simply that he survived some of the bloodiest campaigns of World War II without ever carrying a weapon, but that he saved the lives of dozens of his comrades in the process. His life is a testament to how conviction, even when ridiculed, can triumph in the harshest of circumstances. A childhood shaped by faith. Desmond Thomas Doss was born into a devout Seventh-day Adventist family in Lynchburg, Virginia, in 1919. From an early age, his upbringing instilled in him two things that would later shape his military service: a strict vegetarian lifestyle and an uncompromising commitment to nonviolence. The Seventh-day Adventist Church emphasized the sanctity of life and a literal interpretation of the Ten Commandments. For Doss, "Thou shalt not kill" wasn't a suggestion. It was a divine order. Yet this conviction never dulled his sense of duty to his country. When World War II broke out, he faced a dilemma that seemed impossible. How could he serve without violating his deepest religious beliefs? Enlisting with reluctance and resolve. On April 1st, 1942, Doss enlisted in the United States Army. While others eagerly picked up rifles, he insisted he could not bear arms. This earned him the official classification of conscientious objector. Yet Doss never saw himself as a man shirking responsibility. In his mind, there was a clear difference between refusing to fight and refusing to serve. His solution was simple but controversial. He wanted to be a medic. A medic, he reasoned, could save lives rather than take them. It was an honorable path that aligned both with his patriotic duty and his religious convictions. After some pushback, the Army reluctantly allowed it. Still, the Army wasn't entirely accommodating. Medics were typically issued pistols for self-defense, but Doss refused to even touch a weapon. This decision would set him apart in ways that nearly destroyed him before he ever saw combat. Isolation in the ranks. Boot camp proved to be brutal, not only physically but socially. Doss's fellow soldiers mocked his vegetarian diet, calling it rabbit food. His refusal to carry a gun and his requests for Saturdays off to observe the Sabbath made him even more unpopular. Some soldiers whispered that he was a coward hiding behind religion. Others openly threatened him. One soldier reportedly warned, "When we go into battle, Doss, you're not coming back alive." "I'll make sure of it." Even his commanding officers tried to force him out, subjecting him to extra duties and humiliations. Yet no matter how much they tried, Doss held his ground. His quiet determination and calm demeanor were unshakable. The Battle of Guam, 1944. By the summer of 1944, Doss's division was deployed to the Pacific Theater. His first major test came during the Battle of Guam. Amidst the chaos of bullets and grenades, Doss ran headfirst into danger, not to kill, but to heal. He treated wounded soldiers under relentless enemy fire, often dragging them back to safety at the risk of his own life. It was here that his comrades began to see him differently. They realized that while he refused to carry a weapon, he was no coward. If anything, he displayed more courage than those with rifles. Leyte and the turning tide. Later that year, Doss served in the Philippines during the Battle of Leyte. Once again, he distinguished himself by saving men from otherwise certain death. His reputation as a fearless medic grew, though some still grumbled at his refusal to fight. By now, however, his actions spoke louder than their doubts. Soldiers who had once mocked him began to admire him, even rely on him. The scorn of his early days was gradually replaced with respect. The Crucible, Okinawa, 1945. It was on the island of Okinawa that Doss's legacy was truly sealed. The Battle of Okinawa was one of the bloodiest conflicts of the Pacific War. Known as Hacksaw Ridge, the battlefield was a sheer cliff where American forces faced relentless Japanese resistance. In the midst of the slaughter, when others hesitated to go back for the wounded, Doss rushed forward again and again. Exposed to enemy fire, he carried men one by one to the cliff's edge, lowering them down on ropes to safety. Accounts vary, but Doss is credited with saving at least 75 lives during that single battle. Exhausted, bleeding, and bruised, he whispered a prayer each time. "Lord, help me get one more." His bravery became the stuff of legend, and even those who once ridiculed him admitted he was among the bravest men they had ever met. Recognition against the odds. By the end of the war, Desmond Doss had transformed from an outcast to a legend. For his extraordinary bravery and selflessness, he became the first conscientious objector in American history to receive the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military decoration. President Harry Truman personally presented the medal, remarking that it was an honor to award it to someone who had demonstrated such valor. For Doss, the recognition wasn't about glory. He had simply lived according to his beliefs. Life after the war. Doss returned home a hero, though the war had left him with scars, both physical and emotional. He had been wounded multiple times and suffered from lingering health issues. Yet he lived quietly, far from the spotlight, continuing to practice his faith and inspire those who knew his story. It wasn't until decades later, through documentaries and the 2016 film Hacksaw Ridge, that his tale reached a global audience. By then, Doss had already passed away in 2006, but his example continues to resonate. Lessons from Desmond Doss. Desmond Doss's life challenges our assumptions about war, courage, and faith. His story reminds us that bravery comes in many forms. It is not always found in charging at the enemy with a weapon, but can also be revealed in the selfless act of running into enemy fire to save a wounded comrade. His life demonstrates the power of conviction. Despite ridicule and threats, he never abandoned his beliefs, and in the end, those same beliefs were what inspired others to respect him. His journey also shows how faith can fuel resilience, providing the strength to endure horrors that might have broken others. Perhaps most importantly, his story illustrates how compassion can transform conflict, proving that even in the darkest of times, humanity can still shine through. Redefining heroism. In the annals of military history, Desmond Doss remains a singular figure. The soldier who fought without a weapon, the medic who saved lives instead of taking them. His life story redefines what it means to be a hero. At a time when war was synonymous with destruction, Doss showed that compassion and faith could stand shoulder to shoulder with courage and sacrifice. He may not have carried a rifle, but his legacy is perhaps heavier than any weapon could ever be. Even today, his whispered prayer, "Lord, help me get one more," echoes as a reminder that the greatest victories are not always measured in battles won, but in lives saved. And that was the incredible story of Desmond Doss, the soldier who went to war without a weapon and proved that true courage doesn't always come from a gun. It can come from compassion, conviction, and an unbreakable spirit. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more powerful lessons from history, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.